Hey man, I like the blue hair. You've gone all out for the show's return.
We're back, Mel. I'm so excited. I've not been this excited for anything. It feels like we've not done this in years. It feels like I've not seen you in years. And yeah, even though you are having a bad hair day, I'm having a fantastic hair day. So let's do this.
Okay, I'm hiding mine with a hat. You've turned blue, and it's time to get on with the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. Roll the bumper. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It feels like an age, all right, but we are here. We are back. Test cricket is back. It's back at Lord's, and we're all pretty excited about it. And it was a pretty entertaining first day as well. We were up in the wee small hours of the morning watching Devon Conway do the marvellous things that he did, and just great to see Test cricket back at Lord's. It's a little warm feeling to the heart, so it does. I know that you enjoyed it, Bharat. Shall we get into some nominations?
Let's do it, Mel. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, first up, we have AB Cricket saying, good, the crowd's back at the cricket. Bad, no crowd noise on the TV. Come on, AB, it's Lord's. What do you expect? Even when Lord's is packed, there's a polite little clap, maybe, a little bit of a hum, the taste of champagne sipping. You don't exactly get raucous crowds there, do you?
Mel, though I have to go with at AB Cricket 19 because I think they're talking about the fake crowd noise. So
I know.
You mentioned the fake crowd noise there. Yeah, I didn't miss it at all. But yeah, it was such a warm, fuzzy feeling. It was the best thing yesterday to see. I think that's one thing we've learned, right? In the last 18 months, everything's changed. The world has changed. Our lives have changed. But it's still performance sport, right? It's still a performance. They're playing a sport. They're playing a game or something that they've done all their lives. So for those out who do it, it's kind of natural. But they're still performers. So you need a crowd. And like you said, even though it was Lords and everyone, like the MCC jackets and the ties were back, and someone was pouring champagne, I think at what must have been around noon or 11:30 a.m. England time. It was just so good. There was no crowd noise, but that nice hum around that Lord's hum, right? Like there's it was. Nobody was cheering, nobody was shouting anything. I mean, the cricket wasn't something that really was exciting. It was wonderful classic Test cricket. But yeah, I loved it. I felt like I was there. And I'm so glad the crowds are back.
Yeah, same here. Well, another nomination. Thanks all of you joining us too. There's quite a few people coming online, so we'll try and throw in a couple of nominations there. But next up, we have one from Viv. Bad was a toothless bowling attack. ECB need to review their rotation policy. I don't know if it was toothless. I know we only saw 3 wickets. For me, one of the best or most enjoyable parts of the day was watching Mark Wood bowl. Deliveries consistently, consecutive deliveries that were up around sort of 94, 95 miles an hour. That's pretty exciting. And that passage of play when he was bowling to Devon Conway, I thought was one of the most exciting points. I think we've got a couple more nominations to do specifically with the spinners, but I don't think England necessarily bowled badly. I think they asked a lot of questions at times and they probed. I think New Zealand basically batted really well. They made their mistakes, but essentially they batted really well. We'll talk about Devon Conway, of course, but even that Henry Nicholls plays, I think, so many innings where he just sort of plays second fiddle to someone, but it's a really important second fiddle, and I think we saw that from him as well on day one.
You're right. I thought England bowled pretty well in the first and the second session. The ball was doing a little. Ollie Robinson, we have lots to talk about him later, but he was impressive on debut. I thought they beat the bat a lot. But this is how New Zealand play Test cricket. They might not always be the most exciting team, especially with the bat. I mean, they are so much fun to watch with the ball, but they grind opposition down when they're batting. I mean, ever since Brendan McCullum's era ended and the Kane Williamson era took over, this is what they do. They back themselves to bat long, we heard Simon Dool talk about how even when they play Test cricket in New Zealand, they don't mind the green pitch because they do that, but so that if in case they lose the toss and they're put into bat, all they need is 240, 250 runs, and then the pitch still stays green enough for their bowling attack, their extraordinary bowling attack, to make the most of it. So, wow, what was that? Did we just drop something, Mel?
No, my mother is in the kitchen making cookies, and I told her to be quiet. She's
all I can think about are the cookies. Can you tell me a little more about these cookies, please?
Anzac biscuits, very traditional Australian, and Mum does make the best. I'll bring some to you.
Can't wait. But I think, England did what they could do on that day one pitch. It was a
good pitch for batting too, I think.
It was. Like, there were a couple of balls that went along the ground early on from Jimmy Anderson. But, Mel, I'm just getting distracted by all these wonderful comments we're seeing. It's so good. The crowd's back at Lord. Back for good, bad, ridiculous. Hello, Lee Schneider. It's sunny in Hanover. Okay, Mel is not having a bad headache. It's just much colder in Orange than it is in Adelaide. It's getting there. Winter's picking up here. And hello to Nitin, who's been a big supporter of the show for a long time. And
Nitin saying, agreeing with me, Fiery Wood's spell was the best. So a lot of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we'll come to the makeup of the English bowling attack later, Mel. But I thought Mark Wood did what they backed Mark Wood to do. Yes, he didn't pick up wickets, but despite Devon Conway's remarkable debut, I thought he kept him in check at least during that one spell. I think England will come back better from this. It's still having a debutant and missing Ben Stokes. It's always going to be a challenge. And like I said, the pitch and the way New Zealand play Test cricket with the bat.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, we have on from Kartik. Oh, we might have a couple of these together. Under ridiculous, are there any conditions in the world where such a one-dimensional attack is justifiable? As Warney said, surely you need to have a spinner, although he would always say that, wouldn't he? Even in a dust bowl, you would have at least one pacer to provide the variety and look for the reverse. And we also have a nomination from Harsha. You must be either bad or ridiculous to not include a spinner in the playing 11. Good, you still have a spinner with Pfeiffer in your team. Hale, Joe Root. Yeah, he has a very good average in Test cricket, doesn't he? And he did bowl quite a few overs, I think probably more than we normally see from him on day one. Well, I think probably the problem there, you would say, for England is because of IPL and players back, everything else, they've ended up not playing an all-rounder. And I think it just goes to show, the old cliche, the old adage about balancing a team and how important an all-rounder is for that. So whether it's your fast bowling or medium fast bowling all-rounders, or your spinning all-rounders, don't forget them as well, because England have got a couple of those. The fact that they don't have those has kind of meant that they were not forced into that position, but that's what they've ended up with. And ideally, of course, you're going to want a spinner, and it may end up being a big problem for them later in this game when we see what this pitch does.
True. And, it just comes down to Ben Stokes for me. If Ben Stokes plays, he just gives you that incredible option with the ball, and then you can play a spinner. I think we heard on commentary as well, it came down to Jack Leach or Mark Wood. And, you're going in with two really senior bowlers and a debutant and a spinner. It would have been too much of a risk. And again, the whole equation changes when there's Ben Stokes in the mix. So, I think, but looking at the pitch, maybe England got it right. I mean, we've just seen one day so far, but I think looking at the next few days, I still think they did a reasonably decent job with the ball. A couple of edges could have gone their way. I thought the way they set up Ross Taylor and Tom Latham was very impressive. And let's face it, Devon Conway just batted like a dream yesterday. And Henry Nicholls is one of those typically gritty Kiwi batsmen, doesn't get much of a mention, and I just saw someone sneak past it. So maybe the cookies are ready. That'd be great. And I'm sorry, Mel, I have to talk about our wonderful viewers. To Jerman's point, I think it was Jerman, if you can pull it up, he had something really cool to say. Just saw it. Sorry. Yeah,
Ajaz Patel, who was a far better spinner, be picked ahead of Santner.
Yeah, I mean, speak on that spinners topic. In English conditions, I think they just back Mitchell Santner to contribute more with the bat, more than anything. Like New Zealand have a very set plan. If you look at their bowling plans in Test cricket over the last few years, they attack with their seamers. Mitchell Santner's in that bowl 15 overs, not give much away. If he gets a couple of wickets in the first innings, great. If he doesn't, it's fine. But look at that batting lineup with just Mitchell Santner in the mix. It adds so much firepower. And the other thing Jerman said about Kane Williamson's bat flip, I have a little story about it, Mel. I think I was talking about this on the other show, right? Like he has been doing that bat flip for quite a while now. And but I tweeted a video out yesterday, me and my net videos, I should start deleting them. Just too many on my phone, clogging my phone up. But I found the one where he did it after Tim Southee's already started running. And that's the one when I asked him about it in New Zealand, he was unaware of it. And he said, I'm just glad I don't face the bowling with the back of my bat. And, at that point, I thought I'd gotten into his head. But during that tour, he would always check with me. He would always check if his bat flip was doing okay. Bat flip was doing okay. But as we found out, he just got a little too late to the delivery. But that's still to come. And there's so much love out there, Mel. I'm just enjoying this. I'm just happy.
I can see you really are. The oven just dinged, by the way. I think that means the cookies are ready. We've got one here, sorry, from Harsha Reviewer. You must be either bad or addicted. Oh, no, that's the same one. Sorry, we'll go on to the next one. I'm going on the same one here. So our next nomination, see how fast Muku is. Ridiculous. Crick Beyond Ent. Ridiculous. Another South African goes to another cricket playing nation and performs brilliantly. I know it's not related to the match today. CSA really need to look into their way of cricket. I mean, it is a remarkable story with Devon Conway. He had to wait so long, 3 years to qualify in going to New Zealand, and that paid off. He had to wait, I think 3 overs worth of deliveries before he faced a ball too, once he got out into the middle. So it has been a waiting game. And look, we know this. There are players in Australia, in England, and now New Zealand. Some of it is just, sometimes it's not always about that. Sometimes it's just about people moving, and the world has become a sort of multicultural place. But then, they're all, what do you do? They're also sort of a unique situation in South Africa that's been really difficult to deal with, I think, over the years. So I don't know how that changes anytime soon.
Yeah, and there are so many similarities to all their stories, whether it's Neil Wagner, Colin Munro, and now Devon Conway, about how and the reasons why they moved from South Africa to New Zealand. I mean, it's not a Manas Labuschagne and definitely not a Martin Nisa story. They moved here as kids, but these are guys who were part of the South African system and then, just found an opportunity in New Zealand. Look, it's not too dissimilar to me moving to Australia, because Isha and I think we had better opportunities here, or she definitely did. I just followed suit like I always have, Mel. But I think it's the same logic. Really just stands out that it just tells you how South Africa keeps producing talented cricketers. I don't think you can look at it as a loss for South Africa. Really, it's not like just because they're playing for New Zealand, you should have, because at that level they weren't good enough to make it to the next level, or maybe overcome the competition. Kevin Peterson, for different reasons, not just because of skill. It's all about timing, right? Sport, not just on the field when you're having a bat in your hand, but also with regards to your career. But which also brings me to the other point Jerman made, and I was quite shocked, or one of our other viewers who said that Saurav Ganguly and Devon Conway share a birthday, 8 July, and Saurav Ganguly, as we know now, was the last overseas batsman to make a Test 100. Atul. Sorry, Atul. Sorry for taking that away from you. To score a debut Test 100 at Lords. And the one similarity was both of them just looked like they belong. They just
Yeah.
remember that Ganguly innings, the way he was driving the ball, the way he was clipping it off his legs, and so too Devon Conway. But just that the audacity with which he played that the flick.
The flick to get the 100.
Yeah,
little leg goes up. It's like, a romantic kiss in the movie or something when your leg pops up the back. I think there was one shot, the shot that did it from there was one shot where it was like he defended and the ball went to the boundary. Okay, when you're doing that, it's your day, isn't it? It's your day. And maybe it's part of, but he did come into this test with an incredible first-class record in the past 3 years. It's outstanding. And I guess that shows in some ways, the value for him in waiting as been, he's probably been ready for Test cricket before now. Yeah, you could argue with the way his first-class sort of innings has gone. It's a thorough preparation and maybe a really good advertisement too for first-class cricket and having the amount of time in that kind of competition to actually prepare you for Test cricket.
Yeah, I can think of someone who's done really well in first-class cricket, done really well in domestic cricket, but is still waiting for his Test debut. He also comes from South Africa, by the way. So, yeah, so his time will come as well. Michael Neser, look, Devon.
I actually spoke to him last week and gave him a few numbers of people who can help with stalkers. Our next nomination is from Raghav. Do you think that the 40 minutes for lunch was not enough for Kane Williamson, and that's why he got out early just to have a second round of lunch? And we have another one on Kane, I think, as well. Yes, here we are with Ritabra Tamatra, I think it is. Yeah, I hope. Jimmy Anderson's record against Kane Williamson is just ridiculous. Well, yeah, he did. To be fair, the food at Lord's is very good. So I can understand why that could be a bit of a distraction for Kane and why it might have been on his mind before the match itself, enough for him to actually mention it. It is extremely good, but Edgbaston gives it a run for its money, just saying. We always joke. It's a thing that you always say about Kane Williamson, isn't it? Is that, he plays so late, such soft hands. And this one time he played so late that the ball had almost gone past him. So it happens, doesn't it? And then a lot too is made of the fact that perhaps he hasn't scored as many runs in England as he has perhaps in other parts of the world as well. So that's that's seen as his challenge, and I guess we'll see in the next assume 3 innings of this very short series. And that's a frustrating thing for me with Kane Williamson in England too, is that he only ever comes over for Test cricket. Like the last time he was there was 2015 for those 2 tests after the World Cup. I don't know, it's played first-class cricket there, but it'd be good to see him play. New Zealand play at least a 3 test series over in England. I'd like to see it anyway. Maybe then, we might see a bit more of the best of Kane Williamson there.
Yeah, the world just needs more of Kane Williamson, as we've discussed in all our shows in the past. He's the fixer, the good fixer that the world needs. And I guess having a not so good record against Jimmy Anderson in England is very similar to not having a very good record against Ashwin in India or against Cummins in Australia. I think you will get out to Jimmy Anderson if you play enough tests there. Sorry, I wasn't being rude, man. I was just pulling up the menu card or the players' dining room menu. And what really caught my eye, a couple of my friends tweeted it as well, was the Kerala curry sauce with the pan-seared stone bass. I just want to know which... which of the players picked the Kerala curry sauce fish. I can't think of that being as tasty as it sounds. Something you would have during the lunch break of a test match and then you go out to play. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. And it also got me thinking about the lunch at Lord's. The only thing that stands out for me from the Lord's press box are the cakes. This incredible...
No, it's cheese board all the way. I've just noticed something from Ben Huey there. He agrees with me. Don't get me started on New Zealand and 2-match series. Yeah, let's face it, they usually get the dud. But hey, you know what? They might only get 2-match test series, but guess who's in the World Test Championship final? Just remember that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
moving along with our nominations, where are we up to? Muku's got it under control. From KA, Kaushik, England has perfected the cloning process of creating a Hazelwood in Ollie Robinson, and I think we have another Ollie Robinson nomination. No nominations about what I thought there might be about. Ridiculous. Robinson, this is from I'm Batman. Robinson getting more swing than Swing King Anderson in the first session. I mean, he's been highly rated. He cites Glenn McGrath as sort of an idol of his and someone he likes to model himself on. It might be a bit early to sort of say that. I can see why people make the comparison and say that he reminds him of that, but I don't know. I think it's certainly a bit early to say whether or not he can be as good. I'm not convinced that would happen. But he bowled really well. He was able to get movement both ways. The ball wasn't swinging a lot, I don't think. I think there was maybe a bit more seam movement than there was swing. So that seemed to play into his strengths. Certainly the one that nipped back to Latham, I think it was a really good ball as well. But in the end, let's face it, it was, it's just a real shame that it all ended up being overshadowed by the things that he tweeted several years ago, and that just ended up leaving a really nasty taste in the mouth after what should have been a really great day of cricket.
And he said it himself, at least he owned up to it. I mean, he had no choice.
He didn't exactly own up to it.
Yeah.
He had something to read at the end of the day's play after it had come up on Twitter.
I know. Seriously. I mean, yeah, there's a nomination there from Lee Schneider. She says, good Ollie Robinson owning up to saying stupid stuff 9 years ago and showing real regret and growth. I mean, that's the hope. I mean, that's the hope that he's grown from it. And like you said off air correctly, Mel, yes, he might have tweeted it quite a few years ago, but he was still a professional cricketer then. And well, when you make racist comments, it doesn't actually matter whether you're a professional cricketer or whoever you are. I mean, it's just not done. And, that's the thing. That's the world we live in. You might be young. You might say stupid things that you want taken away, or you want to move on from it, but your comments still stay there. And especially when you're a celebrity, it's easy these days. I don't know how people do it. I know I've sat next to some journalists in press boxes. They can find Jofra Archer tweets from 2002 or 2011 or where. I don't know how they do it, but it's out there. Like, you've put yourself out there. And
it's actually really easy. I'll teach you how to do it. It's called
really? No.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Really? It's quite dumb. Yeah, as you know, with a lot of things. But I don't know what to make of him. It'll be very interesting to see him bowl today. And the one thing with the Sky commentary team is they generally are pretty outspoken. They will talk about these things. We've seen Nasser Hussain's comments, like a lot of, it's been divided. I think there are people who have said that, he was stupid, but we should help him move on. But there are people who say that, but why should we? Why should we just? So I think the best thing is to kind of find a balance somewhere. Just give him some time. Let's see how much he regrets having made those comments, and just having his colored friends come and say, no, he's such a great guy now, I think doesn't help. That's another angle to the story I saw online. So just purely about his bowling, he does have that little bit of Josh Hazelwood in his bowling action. But to me, it just seems like the ultimate, like a Martin Bicknell, Graham Onions kind of bowler, slightly slower than Josh Hazelwood for sure. But like you said, whatever he did with the ball, such a great debut, getting Ross Taylor out and Tom Latham out, two test stalwarts. He ruined it by what he did 9 years ago.
Well, and go back to what I said. There's a couple of things here. One, yes, he was a professional cricketer. And you have to remember too that Yorkshire has been conducting an inquiry into racism at the club, which goes back quite a few years. So that's been a situation that obviously has not been great, because you wonder how a young professional cricketer, even 8-9 years ago, it's not that long ago, Twitter had been around for a long time then, how it gets to a situation where you have a young professional cricketer able to tweet jokes that are clearly sexist, Islamophobic, racist. And the irony of that is, you know, England revealed these training T-shirts that it's all about their campaign against discrimination and this moment of unity they had before the game, and the slogans on the back of their T-shirts, you know, that were against discrimination based on religion and sex and race, and like he managed to tick off quite a few of those in that group of tweets that we saw. So other people saying, yeah, they should have deleted, they should have scrubbed his Twitter feed clean. Maybe they could have. What would that have done? It just would have stopped it from becoming a big public mess that happened on the first day of the test. Doesn't get to the root of the problem, because the root of the problem is what's in people's hearts and minds. Exactly. And yes, it's a problem what they express on Twitter or other social media, but it's the attitude that exists within, and it's that if all the slogans and everything else are fine and a show of public support, but get into the root of the problem and the understanding of young players. How are they in that environment where something like that isn't pulled up, where they're not pulled aside, where those attitudes aren't challenged from a young age? So, yeah, and whatever happens now, that's going to stay with him for the rest of his career. It doesn't matter how good he gets to be. There'll be people who will make their judgments on his character based on them. So it's a huge warning to people for what they put on social media. But that's only, like I said, part of the problem. It's what's inside that counts the most, I think. Anyway,
just one final thing, Mel. I think what you need to find out in these cases is, like, if he is saying that I regret doing what I did, does he know why he regrets it? I mean, that's the important thing. I was reading that interview that Yasser Rana has done with Craig Overton for his episode all those years ago. And it seems, at least it came through in that interview, that he knows why he regrets having done what he did.
He denied actually saying what he was accused of saying as well in that interview.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah, there is no winner in this case. I mean, Ollie Robinson definitely will have to do a lot, not just on the field, but off the field, to make sure that people move on from it, because it's not easy, and people shouldn't move on from it immediately just because someone says sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Do we have any more nominations coming in? I think we do have. Oh no, that's it. Oh wow, we did get there. There we go. I thought we had some more coming in. Thanks for all the comments, by the way.
Great comments.
Just see one there from Mystique Seeker saying, you guys are champs and legends of the cricketing airwaves. Lots of love. Oh, thanks for that. That makes me feel good. But the time has come, Bharat. Drum roll. What is your goodest thing for day one?
The crowd. I think just watching cricket where the camera wasn't just focused on the players, but it was allowed to pan around the ground. Because last summer, if you remember, the English summer, how many times did we see the commentators getting a COVID test? After a point, I don't want to see people sticking things up Michael Holding's nose. It's just not good TV. So I'm glad the crowds were back. And the best part for me was David Lloyd talking about people in the crowds. I know David Lloyd bumbles renowned for being funny and being witty, just generally. But my favorite David Lloyd part is when they pan the camera to the crowd and he has some random things he has some Jerry Seinfeld like things to say about people in the crowd. So that for me was the best part.
Oh, well, he'll be very happy to hear that, Will Bumble. What was your baddest thing of the day?
I guess we cannot move on from Ollie Robinson just ruining what was, I thought, a very good cricketing day. We weren't there in England covering the game, but we've been in those positions. It's you watched a good day, hard day's test cricket, but then that's not what you're writing about at all, and it's completely marred not just his performance, but just this whole return of test cricket to Lords. And the crowds are back. It kind of took away from it quite a bit. That the fact that was the talking point of the day. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it was a real shame. And your ridiculousest thing for the day?
I mean, not to make light of it, but I just saw it was in the nominations right there. The other Ollie Robinson, who's just ridiculously born on the same day and does the same thing that this Ollie Robinson does, for him to for him to come out and say, I know my name's the same, I do the same thing, but it's not me. It's not me, it's that guy who's made his debut today. I thought that was right up there. Was it the most ridiculous thing of the day? I think that, and just the fact that Jimmy Anderson, just the way he is, right? Like here he's having played numbers, 161 Test matches. They were talking about how he's bowled over 60,000 balls in senior cricket, and the fact that nets and all that put together, he must have bowled 80, like nearly a lakh, 100,000 balls in his life, and he still just looks just looks like the Jimmy Anderson of 2003. A little gray here and there, but that's fine. That's just wisdom.
He's
I think.
Ultimate ridiculous player. Speaking of hair, I just see there where Karen Rathore has said, Bharat Bhaiya, your hairstyle is just the same as my mum's hairstyle. What a stylish mum you must have, Karen. Well, that is for us for good, bad, ridiculous, except stay here for a second. Wait, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm coming back.
Oh, the cookies are here.
My mum's Anzac biscuits are ready. If you like, I'll send you the recipe so Isha can make them.
Oh, please. Can you just describe how the cookie tastes so that I can just soak it all in?
It's golden syrup and oats. Goodness, it's amazing. We'll see you for day 2. I'll send you the recipe.
Please do. Hey, Praveen, I'm not ready.